It says Columbus coach Mike Babcock and the players deny invasion of privacy. Columbus Blue Jackets coach Mike Babcock and Captain Boone Jenner are denying allegations that Babcock acted inappropriately and violated players' privacy when asking to see photos on their cell phones. Former NHL player Paul Bissonnette said on Tuesday's edition of the Spittin' Chicklets podcast that Jenner was asked to meet earlier this summer with Babcock, who asked to see images on Jenner's camera roll before displaying them via AirPlay on his office wall. I'd like to remind you and bring your attention to the video I made during the playoffs, or right before the beginning of the playoffs, where this same guy, Bissonnette, told everybody that Brady Tkachuk wanted to go to the Panthers and that Barkov was the odd man out. I don't trust this guy any further than I can throw him. Now, this is the question. This is the quote from Babcock. He says, while meeting with our players and staff, I asked them to share off their phones family pictures as part of the process of getting to know them better. Babcock, who is entering his first season behind the Blue Jackets bench, said, there was absolutely nothing more to it than that. The way this was portrayed on the Spittin' Chicklets podcast was a gross misrepresentation of those meetings and extremely offensive. These meetings have been very important and beneficial, not only for me, but for our players and staff as well, and to have them depicted like this is irresponsible and completely inaccurate. Jenner released his own statement via the team confirming Babcock's intent. While meeting with Babs, he asked me about my family and where I'm from and my upcoming wedding and hockey-related stuff. He then asked if I had pictures of my family, and I was happy to share some with him. He showed me pictures of his family. I thought it was a great first meeting and a good way for us to start to build a relationship. To have this blown out of proportion is truly disappointing. And then they get into Babcock's past. He says this isn't the first time Babcock's conduct with players has come under scrutiny. As coach of the Maple Leafs from 15 to 19, Babcock requested in a private meeting with Mitch Marner that the forward rank his teammates' work ethic, and then he revealed the rankings to the team. Another former player, Johan Franzen, accused Babcock of being verbally abusive over the decade he played with the Red Wings. Babcock's past didn't deter Columbus from hiring him July 1st to replace the previously fired Brad Larson. In an interview with ESPN on Tuesday, Blue Jackets star forward Johnny Gudreau said his experience with Babcock has only been positive and felt the allegations levied against him were shocking. Gudreau said, personally, I had a great meeting with him. We got to share a lot of things together, pictures of our family. I was a little upset to see the way it was handled and how it came out, but nothing you can do about it. We've got off to a great start. We had a great meeting with him and looking forward to working together. Bissonnette, at least, is standing behind what he reported on Tuesday's podcast. Bissonnette posted to Twitter. He said, tell Babs to knock off the bullshit. Enough with putting guys on the spot in the coach's room and asking them to link up their phones to AirPlay mode and grilling them. I've had tons of players confirm it. Bissonnette, this guy, like I said, I got a video on this channel from 2 months ago. Bissonnette on his podcast. Brady Tkachuk. What I'm hearing, that's what he says. What I'm hearing is Brady Tkachuk to Florida and Barkov's the odd man out. Now, first of all, the absurdity and the audacity and the stupidity of even floating that rumor. As if, now, maybe I could toot my own horn and say that maybe he saw the fact that I predicted the Matthew Tkachuk trade, and he kind of wanted to get on in the party there and predict the Brady Tkachuk trade. Only my trade was reasonable and possible because it happened. The idea that Zito's going to trade Barkov, I will shave my body in a pool of alcohol-infused hydrogen peroxide if that man ever trades Alexander Barkov. So I don't trust Bissonnette any further than I can throw him. And I guess since he's a former NHL guy, I probably can't throw him very far. Now, I have zero give a F about Mike Babcock, okay? What probably happened and what people are thinking on Twitter is what he did to Marner doesn't sound exactly ethical to ask. Now, we don't know the situation. I don't know. So if you want to, in quotes, educate me, that's fine. But if he told Marner it would be a secret and then he put it out to the team, that's shitty. I totally agree with that. But that's not what's happening here. They're making it sound like he's broadcasting their pictures to everybody. And what's really happening is he's in one-on-one meetings, putting the pictures on his wall in the office with the players. Notice how they're inferring that he's showing it to all of the players, but nobody is actually saying that. That's how it's done, okay? You just make an inference that somebody is doing it. And when they come out and say, hey, that's not what I'm doing, then once you've put that out there, that's political bullshit. That's what they do in politics. You put something out about somebody you don't like, and when the retraction comes, nobody ever hears it. Anybody ever really remembers to say, I heard so-and-so did this thing. Now, from what the players are saying, if somebody wants to say it's a little bit weird, I could hear how the difference in generations, as an older guy to a younger guy, maybe they're private, maybe they're really not wanting to share. All right. But if you're only sharing it with the coaches, if that's all that happens, is they're sitting there and he's saying, hey, so wife, kids, want to get to know you? Yeah, I got a wife and kids. Hey, can I see pictures of you? I just want to get to know you. Oh, I mean, like me. You couldn't stop me. I'd be posting pictures of Fluffy all over his wall, right? But I can see I could understand where somebody of a different generation, different time might think that's a little bit weird. At the worst, I could see how somebody might think it's a little bit weird. But what Bissonnette is doing, I mean, look, it's what he does. And it's a shame too, because when you listen to him, when he's not spewing bullshit, he's good. And he's a former freaking player, so it's not like he has to do these things to draw attention to his podcast. But then again, there's also the fact that he's probably one of the reasons why he's the most popular, or one of the most popular hockey podcasts. So look, had he not said Brady Tkachuk for Barkov a few months ago, I might give this story a little bit more believability. Had he not said that. That was really, I don't listen to the podcast all that much. I've hit a few clips since that day that happened because I watched that video to make sure that's what he said. So I've seen some of his stuff come up in my feed. But this sounds like a giant nothing burger. And of course, he's being a real douche about it. And he's doubling down on Twitter instead of going the adult route and saying, well, it really wasn't as bad as I thought it was. If the players are okay with it, instead of just taking even a third of a step back and saying, well, all right, it was maybe misrelayed to me, misconstrued. I misunderstood a little bit. It's not. Instead of doing that, he's doubling down. And most likely who texted him, because on Twitter, he's showing a text from a former player of Babcock's. And then what Bissonnette says is he followed it up with the phone call. So what happened was Marner texted Biz. Then he called Marner, and Marner has an axe to grind with Babcock, maybe verifiably, maybe appropriately so. Maybe there's good reason there. I'm not going to discount that. But he is seeing what Babcock's doing now and trying to misconstrue it and say he's doing this same thing. Much like when you get into a relationship and somebody has trauma and you say something similar to what the guy that was beating the crap out of her says, and all of a sudden now she's worried that you're going to start beating the crap out of her. It's like, whoa. This is a completely different, totally situation, okay?